All right, without further ado, something a little different. Bill Ragsdale, you're up. Introduce yourself and introduce your introducee.
Oh, great. Bill Ragsdale here, founding president of Fourth Interest Group, but you all know that. And it's my delightful pleasure today to introduce Andrew McKewan. Now, I look at Andrew, and Andrew looks at me, and we're going to say, you both got old. Well, the reason was we worked together 40 years ago. It was about 1982, 3, around in there at Dorado Systems. I had developed Figforth, and Andrew came in as our software engineer, designer, and basically a totally lead technical person. And for the next several years, he used our simple little Figforth development system for product development, all done in Forth. Some was actual Forth, some was assembler written in Forth, but we were 100% Forth shop. Along the way, the PC came out. And Andrew then migrated my early work onto the PC, expanded, grew, matured, developed, and turned it into a full real Forth system, and continued with that. When Andrew left the company, he worked locally in the Bay Area, several places, and I'll let him fill in the gaps on that. But then in the early 90s, he developed his Forth system. And then the theory, I'll let him say this, maybe he can expand on it, but the original Forths were kind of lean and mean, and Andrew's attitude was, with the expanded capabilities of the PC, he wanted everything in all the time under his fingertips. So no longer was there an emphasis on brevity, there was an emphasis on completeness. And that began then as Win32 Forth. He then passed it on to Tom Zimmer. Tom Zimmer added some great richness to it, and I believe that it came back to Andrew, who polished it up and released it in the ANS standard compliant in the late 1990s. And then over the next 5 or 6 years, additions were made, particularly in applications. There's a great richness in applications added into Win32 Forth. Graphics, object-oriented programming, which Andrew put in, and there's even a way to do broadcast radio receiving over the internet buried deep down in the bowels of Win32 Forth. So the last time I checked on GitHub, there were something over 12,000 distributions. So I would offer that Win32 Forth is the most widely distributed version of Forth that's around. I don't know anybody else that's got a 12,000 number. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Andrew McKewan, and I will say, I'll observe that you can take the boy out of Forth, but you can't take the Forth out of boy. And so Andrew is now back to Forth. Go ahead, Andrew.
That's right. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Mic audio coming across okay?
Yep.
All
Your
right.
audio is fine at this time.
Good. All right. So yeah, the history's good. The bottom line is around 2000, I stopped using Forth, and I have not used it professionally since. I've dabbled over the years. The closest thing I came to Forth was Lua. I introduced Lua to a company that is an interpreted language, a little more palatable to non-Forth programmers. Anyway, so what I'm going to talk about today is Wordle. And let me share my screen here. And this is my first time using this Zoom client on Ubuntu. Hopefully it works. Mhm. All right.
We see your screen.
That's what it says. All right, so here's what I'm going to talk about today. So, um, many of you may know about Wordle, but regardless, we're going to go and play a game of Wordle on the official New York Times website, and then we'll play it in Forth. And then I will briefly look at some of the code I wrote to implement this. I don't want to go through all the details. but at least give you kind of an overview of what it looks like. Number 3 is my soapbox. I'll get in unit test, something I never used when I did fourth. And oh, okay, that's not quite true because we'll talk about it when we get there. And then next steps, which is actually this program to solve Wordle for us, rather than just the other side of the game, the human player. Okay, and then questions. Questions. I want to make this interactive. Don't if nobody says anything, I probably am boring people. All right, let's play the game. All right, so this is actually today's game, and I know the answer because I already played it. So the goal is to guess a 5-letter word, and you've got 6 guesses, and every time you put in a word, it will score it, and it will show you if you've got letters in the right place. So I will offer somebody to give me a good starting word for Wordle. Anybody have a good suggestion?
Share, S-H-A-R-E.
S-H-A-R-E. Okay, so that was kind of a dud. Wow, it was actually a really good word because it eliminated S-H-A-R-E. If you get a gray letter, it means that letter is not in the word. So we know those letters are not there. All right, we need another guess.
Lucid, L-U-C-I-D.
All right, got a little more action there. Okay, we know we have an I and a U, but the U is not in the second spot and the I is not in the fourth spot. So they're in the word somewhere, just not, that's a yellow. It's kind of looks, it's yellow. All right, next guess.
Foamy, F-O-A-M-Y.
Wow. F-O-F? Is that right?
F-O-A-M-Y, I believe. F-O-A-M-Y.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. So backspace. Home. All right. And we have an O, also not in the second spot. So we got 3 vowels and no consonants. So we need to zoom in on some consonants. Anybody think of a 5-letter word that has O, U, and an I in it? If not, the one common strategy is to just pick a word that has these unused letters at the bottom. Like try to find another consonant would be probably a good idea. Any guesses? All right, so I'm gonna go with plank. So that has a P in it. Okay, now we're getting closer, but the N's not there. I'm getting no. I can't guess it. All right. So actually, I know what it is. So it's union. All right. So I got it in 6. So let's. All right. So any questions on how the game works? All right. So let's play it in 4. So.
Does it cost money to go to the New York Times and play this game?
Wordle's free. I actually do have a subscription because I play Spelling Bee, which is you can play for free, but you can only play like to a certain level. So I play the games with my wife every day. So we go through all the games, and it's I don't know, $2 a month or something for the games. I actually have a complimentary subscription to the newspaper as part of it. So anyway, so G4, because I don't have a machine that runs Windows. I haven't had one for a while, so I'm not familiar with the latest Win32.4. It's probably the same as it was before. Okay, Wordle. Hi. Okay. So I'm gonna use the cap locks. Okay, a new game, but I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna put Union. Okay. It's not called solution. Let's see. It's called secret. All right. So if we look at the game, so we're sitting here, we got a secret union. We haven't made any guesses and we don't have a score, but we're going to try and guess the game. So what we guess, share. So share is nothing, like we said. Guess lucid. Lucid, we get the 2 yellows. Foamy. Foamy gives us 1 yellow. Yeah. Here I'm just flailing. Plank. Nouns. We got to see, here's a bug, right? So the nouns should have given us 4 yellows. So some reason, what was that? I don't actually, I'm having problem with the yellows. I'm not expecting this one, but that's another one. I need to write a test to make it fail. Okay, if you actually get the right one, you get all green. Okay, let's play another one. But I don't know what it's not union. Okay. Welcome guesses. Let's do share again since we can start. Okay, so it has an H and an R. Anybody want to play along? Raise, that's one of my favorite first guesses. So we got an R and H. No, we already knew there was an R. So the R is not first and it's not fourth. Yeah. Okay, so we got the O is second and there's a T in it, but it's not last. Anybody have an idea where it is? That's fun. Oh, look at that. Getting some. All right, so there's the answer. All right, I'm surprised you guys didn't get that. So it's not actually a random.
Yeah,
I do have
coming.
if you do it like this, it actually is a random and it'll pick wispy. Okay, all right, so that's kind of how the game goes. It's a lot easier to see in the UI because it color codes your letters and it gives you a nice little keyboard at the bottom, shows you what your used letters are. I don't have that fun stuff, but the game plays barring the mistakes. All right, so let's see what it looks like. Here we go. Yeah, this is interesting. It's VS Code on Ubuntu. If I leave it minimized for too long, then it won't come back. All right, don't know what's wrong. Probably nothing before. All right, let's start again. All right. Okay, so there's actually 2 source files here. There's words to get the list of words that are allowed, and then the program that plays the game. The solver is what I'm still working on. Parts of it are here. By the way, maybe I'll put this in the chat. Hmm. All right, so there's a link in the chat for the.
It has successfully appeared in the chat.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's just, again, I don't want to make this too boring because, I've been working on this for the last few days. So I'm like in the middle of it. Okay. So we start with the basics. So a Wordle word is 5 characters. So on the stack, we're just going to keep the address of the string and not worry about the length. It's 5, right? And if we want to check, we can check it at the beginning. So a few words, to store a word, one word to another, to put it in the dictionary, to print it. Literals, you saw me typing W. It's like char and bracket char, except it takes the 5 and assumes it's 5, doesn't check. You can use it in a definition. So a compare to compare 2 words, and this is using a standard fourth compare, and W equals. Okay, and then so here's a word.
Andrew, we're losing your sound on this. You're only about a third of your sound is coming through. Try dropping your voice level down. You may be overloading Zoom. Just try softer voice.
Okay, I'm not sure how to do that. Let me try going off headset. Does this sound any better? Hello?
I'm not having that problem, Bill. You sound okay either way, Andrew.
All right. I wear the headset because I hear better. Let's see if it will.
Huh?
All right. Does this sound any better?
Sounds fine either way.
All right. Okay. All right. So we're gonna build these list of words. So basically I'm just putting these in the dictionary one after another. So I'm going to create an array of these 5 character words, a whole bunch of them. There's let's see, this is the original list of Wordle words. There are 2,300-ish of them. I believe there's more now, but and then there's a second list. So this list here, the answer is a word on this list. So the goal is to guess one of these words. There's also a separate list of guess words. And these are words that you're allowed to use as a guess, but they're never going to be answers. And there's about 10,000 of them in this file. That allows you to use, like if you want to find an A and you want to find a word with a lot of A's in it, like abaca or something. It's not actually an answer, but you maybe will find it useful. Anyway, those are the 2 word lists called Wordle words and guess words. And then the only other thing I coded here was a binary search. Again, I'm not going to go through it, but it's to find so you're given a word in one of these lists, either the words or
Andrew, about half your speech is not coming through.
Bill,
We
I
need
think
to
it's on your,
investigate.
I think
Maybe
it may
talk.
be, Bill, it may be on your end because I think we're hearing him.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm hearing him fine.
Oh, okay. Probably at this end then. Thank you.
So this was what's fun about this isn't what it ended up with, it's how it got here. So I actually coded this like 5 times, right? And I started using indexes, and then I switched to addresses, and I factored it, and I didn't factor it. And it was a very interesting exercise. The histories in Git, but when you present the answer, it's like, wow, this is as good as I can get, I think. And yet there were many steps in the middle. Like one of the ones I recently did was factoring out this lower and higher. They're not very long, but I just felt this was kind of, cool, right? You're doing the binary search. If you go to the lower, if you find it's lower or higher, you know how it goes. So just some, managing here, I got 4 items on the stack. It gets really tricky, and I've got to I find myself drawing stack diagrams in my code because, I can't remember more than 2 things at a time. And when I've got 4, and I had a 5 pick in my code. It's not there anymore, but, and then it's like, if you have a 5 pick, you're probably doing something wrong. Anyway, so there's the words. So I got 2 lists of words, and I can search in each of these lists. All right, so how does the game go? All right, G4 has a pseudo-random number generator that I used. So some constants for the score, that's what prints out. So here's the variable. So I got a secret, which is and all of these just have 5 characters. The guess is what you're working on, the score. So the guess and the score go together. So each time, and the reason these are variables is for ease of coding, and it's really convenient to look back and see what you did, right? So rather than trying to, dynamically allocate this, it just is more straightforward to do this thing. Okay, so the new game. So this is how you start a new game. So it randomizes it, puts something in the secret, fills the guess with question marks, and clears the score and marks your number of guesses. All right, so now we're ready to start guessing. So I'll actually go down to the make guess. So this is probably so this is the main word for the game. So we pass in a word and it returns a score for that word, right? So you put in what you typed, it gives you the score, and you do that until you get the answer. So it stores the guess, it clears the score, and increments the number of guesses. Then it scores greens and scores yellows. So those are my 2 scoring words. So green says go check all the green letters, and then the other one's supposed to check the yellow letters, but it doesn't work. All right, so we look at the green one, straightforward, right? Go through each letter. If the guess matches this position, so if if this character is in this position, then score green. Right, so I'll just go through the score and put greens wherever there's a matching letter. And from then on, we're going to ignore those because they don't add it. We just pretend they're just wrong. So when we're going through the yellows, we're going to only look at gray ones that haven't been scored yet. The yellow is supposed to pick a letter and then look everywhere else to see if that letter exists, and if so, score it yellow. What it's not doing is it's not remembering that. So if I have two letters, they both get yellow, even though they shouldn't. And you can see that in the actually you can see that when we run the assistant. You can see it in this failing test here. So scoring yellow, so A, B, C, D. So I put two D's in there. And what I should have got is one yellow and one gray, but it actually scored the yellow twice, right? So it said, oh, there's a D. Oh, there's a D. It didn't remember that it already scored it. So there's a bug that we discovered in the game here. So that's basically it. And then the game UI. So get a word, make a guess, and then print out the answer. Okay, any questions? Where's my agenda?
I was surprised you did the binary search to find things. Is that just you were trying to be very efficient, or?
Rather than a linear search?
Yeah, that sort of made it, I guess, adds complexity, but also, yeah.
Yeah, it would linear search would have been much more straightforward and just as effective. And on this computer, you wouldn't be able to tell, right? You probably couldn't measure the difference.
Nonetheless, it's cool.
I did it because it was the right thing to do. Yeah, it's totally unnecessary. Yeah, I agree. That should have been done after I got it working, and then I could have used my unit test to make sure it still worked. So unit tests. Okay. Any more questions about the code? There's again, this is the first time you've seen it, so you probably don't have any questions. You will notice one thing is I started out in nice uppercase, and then I really got tired of it, and I like, no, I don't really like that shift key after all. I don't think I could. It's just really annoying. I have to keep your caps lock on. Okay, what was I going to do next? Okay, I was going to look at getting unit tests. So let's look at unit tests first. So unit testing in fourth, I mean, we do unit testing all the time, right? We write a word and we test it, right? And a lot of these words, nice little thing, they're really easy to test. But then we throw the tests away. And then later on, our program doesn't work, and we've been changing some things, and we didn't know anyway. So I feel it's very important to have something that sticks around that makes sure you didn't break things, right? So start with the words because there's not much here. So what I'm gonna do is, and this is just a little unit test thing. We can look at it in this few lines of code. All right, so I'm gonna create my own little test words. And I'm going to create I'm going to find a word in this test array. So I've got two. So here's a word that I expect to find, and it prints out the message if it can't find it. And here's a word that I expect to not find. All right, and so then I test a bunch of things, right? So if I wanted to break it. And expect to find the expense with this one. So then when undefined word, yeah, that's
Found.
All right, so it failed. It expected to find ZZZ, which it doesn't, which is actually correct because it's not in there, but that's showing the failing test. So I put some stuff in here, and now if I go and change to I want to do a more fancy search, then my unit test will give me some confidence, if my unit test is sufficient. It will do some confidence that this is still working. I don't know if unit testing is a practice in fourth these days much. I don't. It wasn't when I was doing it. And so the game, so we saw some of the tests. So this is just testing if these are valid guesses, meaning during one of the word lists.
I think like many things in fourth, unit test and full up regression testing is a function of who the guy at the keyboard is rather than
Yeah.
fourth as a whole.
Sure. Well, it's true. It's true in any environment. Last couple of years I've been coding in Rust, and Rust embraces testing very. It's very upfront, right? It's part of the environment, and like this, your unit tests live in the same file as your source code, and you get in the habit of just writing a function. You test it, you write another function, you test it, and you build up your stuff like that. It's the main annoyance is when you're starting out and you decide to go in a totally different direction, and now you've written a whole bunch of useless unit tests. But that's fine. All right, so where was I going to show? Okay, some green. So I'm testing the green. I'm saying a back and a base should get a GGG, and should and this is the one that fails. The ABCD and DD is supposed to be a Y, and it doesn't. And then there's some tests on the whole thing, right? So I'm giving I'm seeding. I'm setting a secret, and I'm trying a bunch of guesses, and I'm expecting to get the answers. Okay. And then the last of my soapbox things, of course, is kids. So this is what I've been doing. So I started 4 days ago, right? So I add Wordles, factor search. So these are the commits I've made, and I don't think I've actually ever had to go back and look at one. But the thing is, it was working yesterday. It's not working today. What did I do since yesterday? The tools that can do this for you. So you can see I'm committing, like the first time I did 6 commits in one day, and then today I've done 3, and it's just cleaning up. Well, I guess I actually finished it this morning because it wasn't working. So I don't want to write any code without Git. And GitHub too. So let's look at there's the code on Git. Right, so here it is on GitHub. Right, and GitHub's cool because you can go and look at the notes and stuff and see what you did anyway. So it's now my second GitHub project. So all right, so we covered Git unit tests. Next step's the solver. Okay, I'll talk about this briefly. So what I'm trying to do here. So this is really as far as I got. So I created a working set, which is it's basically a set of all the words. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove words until there's one left, and that'll be the answer. So for instance, where's the green? I'm commenting. Oh, it's in this. All right. So here's the green, right? So remove words from the working set that don't have the green letter. So if we know the first letter is A, remove words that don't start with A, right? So this is going to remove all the words that don't have this character in this position. So it's basically there's an iterator first and next that go through this set. And it just compares that character, and if it does, it removes it from the set. So test for the similar. That's green. All right, so I put in the all words, I prune the green, and I know there are 3. This is I choose because I didn't make one of this. So I know there are 3 words that start with Z, and so I make sure there's only 3 left. 424 words ending in E. So I prune all the words, and I should have 1. Okay, so and then the pruning the yellow is more complicated, and that's kind of where I'm working on now. This just doesn't work. Okay, that's where I'm headed, and then when I get that, I can see how well the game plays versus how I play, right? So my intention is to, every day is I'll play the game and then I'll let the program play the game and see what wins. Okay, that is all I had prepared. I got Q&A, so there wasn't a lot of Q&A during, so I'm not expecting a lot now. But any questions?
I'll make a comment. The unit testing is definitely cool, and that's something I've found value in as well in Forth with my micro eForth implementation. I quickly reached a point where I had all kinds of regression. Like, I need some unit tests for this, and yeah, definitely for a program of any size, it becomes valuable, I think.
Yeah, yeah. The one, and I try to tell this to people because we had when I at some point we'd written and this is mostly before I got there, a lot of code had been written, no unit tests, and this is all mostly C++ code. And so we started a campaign to add unit tests. So the worst way to add unit tests is to write all the code and then go in and try to write unit tests, because what you find is, well, you find that the code, when you are writing for testing, you sometimes write different code, right? So let's say you have like this defined word that looks for a word in a table. When I originally wrote it, it was hard coded to just the list of 2,000 Wordle words, right? So now it's the only way I could test it, like the test green, is I have to know what those words are, and I have to, like, use my, whereas when I tested the actual find, which now took a parameter, I could now create a test table that I knew was what it was. It never changed, right? And so my tests are more robust. So I always try to encourage people to write the test start writing tests fairly early. Not when you need it and you have to go back, then it's much more difficult, right? But at the end of the day, which one took longer? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you definitely end up, if you write it after the fact, you tend to end up with the phrase I'll hear people say is the tests that kind of recapitulate the implementation, and then you're sort of just it mirrors it, and then it's very brittle, and yeah, definitely.
Yeah, some of you might have heard this before. Let me repeat myself. In the hierarchy of 4 things to produce useful working stuff, the number 1, in my opinion, is correct by inspection. Small pieces that you can look at and say, yes, I understand everything in that little bag and it all works fine. Thing 2 is, as you go, the unit testing. All of these things are things that Forth supports. It doesn't make you do them, but if you want to do them, Forth is the place to do them, in my feeble-minded opinion. The third thing is regression testing. You have to have some yardstick to say, yes, this whole blessed thing is working and all the pieces. The fourth thing is that every time you find a bug, you need to add code to find the bug that you fixed into your regression test. Because I don't know about your experience, I feel these zombie bugs, they keep coming back. Okay.
Yeah. So here's an example of exactly that. This bug was discovered when I was playing the game. I had Abled and I guessed Alley, and I didn't get this. I got something, I don't remember what I got. So I wrote the tests, they both failed, and then I fixed the code and they passed. So that's that's exactly what you said, right? Capture that bug, right? And so I don't even remember what we guessed today, but I'm going to go afterwards and try and remember it and write the test that fails, and then that'll give me some other test point. I was going to say something else about, I just looked at this casually. The 4 or 5 source files I've written are about half test code. So I wrote about as much test code as I did real code. And I've absolutely had files where I've had 1 page of code and 4 pages of tests because it was complicated and tricky and had to be right. So I say I probably have half the code is test code, and it's this is I throw it away when I'm done because no, I don't want to keep clutter the dictionary, but it's not really necessary. Again, why did I do that? I don't know. I could have done it later. I guess I'm tired of redefinition warnings. So anyway, so here's the test suite. Okay, so right, just keep track of the tests and the fails and report. So there's really nothing to it. Okay. Any more questions? All right. Well, thank you. I'm pretty happy with the game so far. I thought this at the beginning. I thought the solver would be easier, and as you get into it, you realize these subtleties like two yellow letters. And so now, like in the game, I'm gonna have to remember that I already scored that yellow. So now there must be two of them in the word to score the second yellow. So I haven't figured out how to do that. All right, thank you for your time. We'll stop sharing now. All righty, back to you, Mr. Chairman Kevin.
Oh, that sounds awfully socialist or communist or Chinese or something. All right. Program chairman and other furniture as required. All right, let's see. I wanted to say that Andrew posted his GitHub in the chat. If you're interested in this topic, I suggest you follow that link. Hopefully, this will evolve, perhaps, or something else will be implemented, at least a teaser presented on fourth day. Did I mention we're looking for speakers for fourth day in November? If you have a big thing you want to present,
I'm going to
short
commit. I'm
teaser.
going to commit to solving Wordle by November. All right. So
Having a working solver with a good score.
Yeah, I can't commit yet because I don't know what personal arrangements I'll have, but that is that will be my intention. So if I solve it, I'll save it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be
Okay.
interesting.
And you can always make a video in advance of fourth day.
Oh yeah.
If you're busy fourth day or if you're out of town, we'll show your video and mock you in your absence.
Oh, these young engineers at Amazon, whatever, they make these presentations with videos and they're cut-ins and they're like, it shows them in their picture and it's like, how do you do this? This is like magic. I mean, I could take a video with my camera and post it, but that's probably not what they did. All right, I understand. Thank you.
Well, what Bill does, and I always ask myself, what would Bill do? Is he goes on Zoom and he records and he makes it as if it's a Zoom thing.
So
I don't know, Bill, do you edit after the fact when you do one of those, or do you just let it roll out and you're inimitable live presentation style?
Was that to me?
Yes, that was to you, Bill.
Oh, okay. Zoom has this wonderful thing about recording. So I just kick it on with my own account and start recording to my computer. Generally, you can either record to the cloud or to your own computer, and you just introduce yourself and do the presentation as you would, and then at the end, and then we just email that to Brad, and then he rolls it when the time comes around in the real meeting.
So the answer is Bill doesn't edit because he doesn't need to. If you want, any of you folks listening, if you want to improve your presentation, I suggest you do two things. Thing one is go to YouTube and look at Bill's presentations in the past. Any of them are pretty much, I think, I want to say equal for this purpose. And the other thing is that quite a while ago, Bill did a talk on presentation skills. Go to that and look at that, and that will make you a better presenter. With that said, any further questions for Andrew? Comments, questions? All right. So I wanted to ask Dave. He was ready to go.